we've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right, here it is. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 13 of the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Let's go, Sports Bar.
Brandon Carnes, Justin Feldkamp, Mason Lowry. If you don't know that by now, I don't know where you've been for 13 weeks.
That's right.
We have had plenty of state championship matches in the last week. We're heading towards them in the football side of things. So it got me thinking, what is your favorite state championship venue? Mason, you've got to bounce around to a few, especially recently.
I have. This one for me is easy. Firestone Stadium, Akron, home of state softball and the MAC softball tournament. You've got this ancient stadium that's right by the old Firestone headquarters. You look up when you're seated in the covered area, and it looks like kind of the underside of an old wooden roller coaster, like the Gemini or something over at Cedar Point. That keeps all of the sound in. And you guys know what softball parents and fans are like. You get like the entirety of some towns and villages out there. It's like the last one left, turn the lights off. It makes for a wonderful atmosphere. And for us, for our job in media, there is no press box in the traditional sense. There's just tables set up in the bleachers under the covered areas. So you get the atmosphere and the feel of it better than anywhere else. I absolutely love that place. Love it.
The reason why I like that example is because it's a packed environment.
Exactly.
Because I think one line of thinking is, all right, let's have it be a cool experience for the players, the teams, to play where the bigger guys, a college team plays or a professional team plays. And I would rather side with the packed environment.
Totally.
So just kind of a lesson for all of our viewers, if you don't know where the state titles are played, football's in Canton, soccer at Crew Stadium. We'll get to that in a second. Volleyball is at Wright State. Basketball is now at UD Arena. Wrestling's at the Shot at OSU. Swim and diving is in Canton. Baseball's at Canal Park in Akron. You mentioned Firestone for softball. Track and field, Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium at Ohio State. Tennis at Mason, the Linder Center down near Cincinnati. And then lacrosse is at Crew Stadium, just like soccer, but previously was at Ohio Wesleyan. So I'll go in line with you. I think the Canal Park for baseball, but I'm going to go with the Shot for wrestling. And the reason is because it is an event.
Yes.
And that is a larger arena, but it is packed
to the gills.
The wrestling community across the state of Ohio really makes that a special event. You got the fireworks coming up and the parade of athletes. So I like that. But then also with basketball at UD Arena, if you haven't been to UD Arena and just Dayton in general, that's where the Flyers play. There's a reason why the NCAA tournament First Four is there, because there's basketball fans, not just UD Flyer fans in Dayton. There are basketball fans that will show up and show out for the NCAA tournament First Four for high school basketball, boys and girls.
Yeah, Shot is my favorite by a mile. It's not even close. I love that arena. I love the community coming around that sport. It's my favorite weekend. I think that second weekend of March every year I look forward to so much. And we got plenty to look forward to on today's episode. Some teams' seasons came to an end. Some teams are still continuing. We've got our clip of the week, game of the week, and so much more. And make sure you're right here every single Wednesday for a brand new episode of the podcast, bcsnnation.com/podcast. And make sure you follow at BCSN Sports across the board. Speaking of one of those state final matchups, down in Crew Stadium, Anthony Wayne brings home its first state title in program history, and they did it 3-2, taking down a pair of unbeaten teams, the Hudson Explorers and the Anthony Wayne Generals, and only one left unbeaten. Mason, you were there?
I was, and I'm so delighted for, first and foremost, Lori Williams, who I just have boundless respect for as a coach and as a human being, just a top-flight person, runs a wonderful program. They do everything the right way. And if they were going to win this state title, which obviously they did, it was going to have to be with defense. And they had, to me, the perfect out-of-possession game plan. They're very comfortable having very little of the ball because they are so well-organized and so well-structured. And they rode their luck, 2 tap-ins from set pieces, and I think the only person that didn't realize Lydia Smucker was 5 yards offside on the first goal was the AR.
Allegedly.
They're not giving the trophy back. Can't do that now. But to defend as well as they did, that Hudson team was not only a really potent attacking side, but they scored elegant goals all season long. Just playing their way through and around people. They had a really, really talented front four. Ava Bell, their number 6, just watching her on the ball, you got the sense, kind of like Emma Ogdahl for Perrysburg, anytime, or Lila Simon, anytime she touches the ball, she's going to make something
just waiting
happen.
for magic.
In that second half, Hudson had to go against the wind. And when you're chasing a game, that's the last thing you want to be dealing with, especially against an Anthony Wayne team that, fine, we'll sit back and absorb. And players like Ava Bell and Hannah Meese were having to shoot from 25 yards into a stiff breeze. And Katie Carr made 9 saves, but with the exception of one early one of the first 5 minutes against Ava Bell, I think it was, nothing was difficult. There were shots from range that just floated into her hands. And perfect game plan. Everything set up so well for Anthony Wayne. I was concerned that the first goal came a bit too early. Because sometimes it's like that Blazing Saddles line I like to use. Don't shoot Mongo. You'll just make him mad. Take a team like Hudson, make them go behind early, and then you have to defend for 75 minutes and try and keep them out. But they did it beautifully.
That one Hudson goal, a left-footed kind of through traffic.
Hannah Meese, that was gorgeous.
She going anywhere for college?
Stunning.
She's only a sophomore, so not yet, but she will.
Good that run from midfield.
Yes.
She was the little okey doke over top of the ball and then created space.
Marvelous.
She was just weaving through a myriad of very talented defenders.
Yeah.
So a couple notes on this. You summed it up very well since you were on the play-by-play for it. But Lydia Smucker, a hat trick. And Lila Simon, Kent State commit. She scored a goal in the semifinals against Anderson. But I tell you what, that just shows you the depth of this Anthony Wayne roster when your best player, NLL Player of the Year, Lila Simon, doesn't have to score at all, and you can still win a state championship. Not a win against a lesser team that you win 5-1 or whatever, in the state championship game. So to finish undefeated, remarkable. And then to speaking of the Anthony Wayne Athletic Department as a whole, boys golf, baseball, and girls soccer have won state titles in very recent years.
Volleyball's played in 2. Girls basketball's played in 1.
So I just hats off to John Schneider, the athletic director there, and then the community at large, because it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to raise state championship caliber programs across the board. And I just say I love using the word where there's a will, there's a way. Like just put on your boots and go do it. Find a way to go do it. And it takes a lot of leadership. Lori Williams, 22 years, has been there, never won a state. Like, think of the pedigree that they've created without a state champ. It's hard. It is hard to win a state championship. And they had challenging games during the tournament. It's not as if they just whitewashed everybody. With 5 divisions, I think volleyball should go to that. There's 7 divisions in volleyball. I think soccer went an increase that is appropriate to 5.
Definitely.
But just hats off to everyone at Anthony Wayne and specifically Lori Williams in that program. If you didn't see the interview in our studio with Yalban Sue, go to BCSNNation.com website and search Anthony Wayne. They were in studio. Great interview and great sound bites from all of them.
I just want to say really quickly, and you brought up all the success Anthony Wayne has had. And I, of course, I remembered all of that. You've got it written down on paper. What does it mean? I walked corner flag to corner flag on the sideline, mind you, not the not the byline. In the time it took Tim Streed in the post-game trophy ceremony to rattle off all the things Anthony Wayne had done lately. So that kind of, however many feet, 110 yards or whatever it is, that was, really impressive.
You can
Great
add
year for them.
State champions to that list, and you can add Division II Coach of the Year for Lori Williams, along with Lila Simon, Lydia Smucker, first team All-Ohio. Pair of seasons that came to an end without a win, though, on the football side of things. The Jackets and Trojans both fell last week in playoff action. Perrysburg falling to Whitmer. Couldn't get that rematch done. Looking at both of these teams, how the season fared for them, and things to look forward to for both these fan bases in 2026, Justin.
Yeah, Perrysburg. All right, so Brady Maxwell, the quarterback, will return. He was a junior. The line that I always like to go to, or at least the thought process, if I'm a head coach and I have a junior quarterback and a senior quarterback, or a sophomore quarterback and a senior quarterback who are neck and neck, from a coach's perspective, I got to be a little selfish, and I say, all right, we're going to go with the younger guy because they're equal talent, and then I get to develop him at the top varsity level for a number of years and more than 1 year. So that's what I'm going to do, and then find another position for that other senior quarterback to contribute. Normally, those quarterbacks are very athletic, so that's where I'd go with that. Maxwell coming back. Defense always seems to be solid for
just cycle guys in and out for Coach Ward.
No matter what. 9-3, the losses were to Whitmer twice and Olentangy, so 2 teams that made the playoffs, and Whitmer is still alive. 5 years now complete under Coach Dirk Connor after Matt Kriegel departed and came with us on BCSN and is doing great with Tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
But here's what I would say. I mean, they need a D1 guy, and Coach Dirk Connor kind of joked tongue-in-cheek early in the season because we did a feature on Reed Gherkin. He's a lineman. They've had a number of linemen go from Perrysburg to Division I tier programs, UT and BG, namely. And I think Reed Gherkin has a chance to go beyond maybe the Mid-American Conference level at the next level. But they need another guy. They had Connor Wallensack, a running back at UT. Yeah. More guys like that who can kind of break through and be game breakers and just kind of no matter what, stock the box or just create big play, explosive plays for that offense.
I'm going to give you a guy that maybe could, and he was totally off the radar this year. They had a freshman. The only freshman that they dressed varsity all season was a running back named Dakota Jackson.
Okay.
There you go.
He's going to be special.
We
saw him returning kicks this year, and he's like a dude shot out of a cannon. Almost all that defense will return next year. The whole secondary, which to me was the strength of the defense, aside from maybe Malik Beck and Jenna Wilkowski on the line. They were all really, really good. I wonder if Brady Maxwell was a little banged up at the end of the year, too.
Yeah, it seemed he took a lot of hits all season
He does.
long,
He's the kind of quarterback that runs like a running back,
Yep.
which means you put yourself in positions to get hit.
Sure.
So the 8 interceptions, no touchdowns last 4 weeks. I don't know. He could use the offseason to get healthy. I don't know if he plays any winter sports off the top of my head.
Finley, what are your thoughts on them?
Well, it's kind of a shame that their season petered out the way that it did. They lost 4 of their last 5, but I don't think that undoes any of the good that was done the first 6-7 weeks.
Sure.
And they really came from nowhere. I mean, they were only picked ahead of Northview in the preseason poll in the Buckeye division. I mean, they rejiggered their offense after 2 weeks. Give the quarterback position to Miles Bailey, who hadn't played QB since junior high. He'd been playing middle linebacker and continued to do so after he was made quarterback. I think this was the first Finley offense that was structured the way Stephen Adams always wanted it to be.
Yeah.
He was a running back. He coaches the running backs even while he's their head coach. Yep. They were run, and then pass when they kind of needed to. And maybe the fact that, as Justin pointed out rightfully throughout the year, when they were in must-pass situations was when they struggled the most.
Yeah.
So next year, get a quarterback in there, not just a guy playing the position, although Miles did the best he could. And they'll have 3 or 4 young guys to choose from, some of whom got some serious varsity time as sophomores this year. Carter Emke's coming back.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Ramir Williams is back. He was one of those guys in the stable of running backs this year. I like him a lot. He's kind of built a little like Stephen Adams. He's a big dude who will run you over. I think the future's really bright there. And Nash Montgomery, too, as a big wide receiver. He's a big dude as a sophomore. He'll be bigger and quicker and better, theoretically, next year. So that's a Finley team, along with Clay, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely keep an eye on in the Buckeye next year.
Lot to look forward to, and we'll get you to a couple other teams whose season came to an end after 30 seconds from Buffalo Wild Wings. Hit it, Cisco.
Buffalo Wild Wings buy one, get one free boneless Thursdays saved me so much cash. I can finally do everything I've ever wanted in life, like skydiving. You ready? No, this was a mistake, a huge mistake. I want to go back. I want to go back. Go! Yeah, I'll probably just use the money I saved to get more buy one, get one free boneless wings at B-Dubs. No brainer. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
Keep it rolling into the teams who had their seasons come to an end. Mason will have you start breaking down Napoleon this year and looking forward to guys that got coming back.
Yeah, they're another one for me that's a little bit like Finley in the sense that you're disappointed that it didn't last another week. And their season didn't peter out as Finley's did. I was very surprised that they were shut out by Sandusky Perkins. We talked about it at length last week, this contrast of styles. Perkins that slings the ball around and Napoleon wants to ram it down your throats. They were held to 165 yards of total offense. So maybe we didn't give enough flowers to the Pirates defense because that was a really impressive performance. And there are 2 guys in particular that make me think they can be every bit as good next year. One is Kelby Parsons, their quarterback, who really grew over the course of this year. People don't realize he transferred in from Wauseon after week 1 in 2024, which meant he couldn't play in any games. He was running the scout team. So he was learning little bits and bobs of everybody else's offense.
Right.
He didn't start running anything related to Napoleon's offense until the start of like fall camp this year, really. Right. And he came, I think, a long way in a short amount of time. It's tough when you lose a whole year like that. And the other is Hayden Grohl, of course.
Yeah.
My vote as of right now for breakout player of the year at the BCSN Honors in the spring. The fact that they didn't have George Eggers for a while and that offense didn't miss much of a beat because of how punishing he was makes me think there may not be much of a drop-off next year. And you would think, too, they'll get bigger guys because they'll lose wide receivers and defensive backs. They won't have 5'6", 130 again. They'll be a little more physically imposing, theoretically, out there, and that could let them take another leap forward.
And wait till you see that duo of Hayden Grohl and George Eggers on the wrestling mat all winter long,
nice.
too.
Can't
Justin,
wait.
talking
maybe
about
we'll see him at the shop.
Talking about A-Dub.
For Anthony Wayne, they finished 7-5. That's the worst record Anthony Wayne has had under Coach Andy Brungard in a decade there in White House. But the losses, 5 of them to Upper Arlington, now 10-2. Whitmer now 9-2. Clay now 6-5. Their season's over. Perrysburg 9-3. Their season's over. North Ridgeville 10-1. Their season's still alive. So quality losses.
Yeah.
But as a coach, I think in some ways it could be more satisfying to overcome adversity, have those life lessons that sports teach us, teach a community, teach a coaching staff, teach 14 to 18-year-olds, as opposed to just a regular season of domination, 10-0, and unblemished and unchallenged. So I think there's some credit due for Anthony Wayne in dealing with the rash of injuries that they had throughout the season. Obviously not what you'd want coming up short in your second round after winning a first-round playoff game against Start. But Porter Brungard, a sophomore quarterback, if you got a up, down, or neutral arrow next to his name, it is clearly in green and pointing up. So I think that they want to challenge themselves. I just listed off the losses. They'll play the big boys in their league, obviously, but then outside as well. Bishop Watterson from the Columbus area is going to be on Anthony Wayne's schedule the next 2 years. So Coach Brungard doesn't make no bones about it.
Yeah.
You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And Bishop Watterson and Upper Arlington, North Ridgeville, the teams like that they will face from the beginning of the season to the end of the season will make them better.
Possible guy to break out next year for them, Drayton McLaughlin. Played a lot this year as a sophomore. He did have some fumbles. He dropped a short interception in the Perrysburg game, but the coaches love him. He is dynamite. He's so fast. If he could smooth over some of those edges, he's going to be a force next year.
And a little bit of a silver lining, we talked about the injuries they faced all season. That just means there's a lot of experience returning that might not have been there otherwise for Coach Brungard. We'll move on, though, to our clip of the week, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Hit it. Let's go. Real good way to end your high school career. How about just a hat trick to win a state championship? Lydia Smucker, we mentioned Lila Simon didn't get a goal. Lydia Smucker said, "Don't you worry about a thing. I'm bringing a crown back to A-Dub."
I love the calmness of that finish, don't you?
Yeah.
One-on-one, just a great job overall. Right place, right time type of deal. But then, credit to her because you got to make those moments count. In a state championship game against a superb quality opponent, you can't miss on those. And if you do, that could lead to your demise. And a what if I did? But she left no what ifs out there. I put her on a potential breakthrough list for BCSN honors and individual performance. We'll see how it shakes out, but hats off to her.
She was a midfielder last year who was often injured. She was moved into a more attacking role this year and went from, I think, 3 goals, no assists to 20 if you include the hat trick in the final. And one player whom we've not named at all is Kayla Common, who served in both the corner and the free kick and the Lila Simon goal that was disallowed for offside. She was such a threat in dead ball situations.
Touch on that finish.
Yeah, that is sublime. Whether she was offside or not, it's a sublime.
I didn't hear no bell. Lydia Smucker, our clip of the week. You want more Lydia Smucker goals? Just head over to our TikTok at BCSN Sports. Shout out to her for her hat trick and a state title. And somebody else is getting a title. Well, we'll call it a belt. The student section of the season belt. It needs a home, and I need you to send me hashtag SSOTS. I don't need any more W's at the end of that hashtag. Student section of the season. Everything you got from week 1 to week 12, week 13 if you're still rolling. All 10 of these teams on the screen. If you don't know who you are, well, you should have been paying attention throughout the season. Head us to your best. Hashtag SSOTS. Unison Health reminds you it is your time, your choice, and now it is our choice to move on to a big game in Division I playoff action. The Panthers hit the road to take on the number 1 seeded St. Edward Eagles. This one always a huge clash between 2 huge programs in the state for football, Mason.
Yeah, sure is. I love the way Whitmer's playing right now, and I love the way their defense has responded from the difficulties they had in the Clay game with the 22 penalties. They've been really disciplined in 2 games against Perrysburg, and to hold that offense to no touchdowns across 2 games is staggering to me. I didn't think that was something that they could pull off, despite how good we knew some of those individual pieces to be. But guys have stepped up, because in terms of defensive production, a lot of it was Zach Aubrey early on in the year.
LJ Glover's come
Jameel
in.
Lyons was unplayable last week. Perrysburg didn't know what to do with him. Damon McCreary, a.k.a. Big Mustard, is being his disruptive self again. He was frequently last year. Really struggled the first half of the season to make much of an impact. He's playing really well. You mentioned LJ Glover, and Chris Sanders came up with a big interception, and Dom Arndt was a guy that didn't play last year and has now picked off 5 passes, is playing really good at safety. To me, the key in this game is, can they stay disciplined on the road in what will be a hostile environment? The offense needs to do enough to keep them in the game so the defense can make plays down the stretch, because if it kind of spirals away from them, their heads can go, and that's when indiscipline happens, and you lose by a crooked number. This St. Ed's team, Justin, really, really good.
Yeah, they are solid. If you look at all the metrics that Drew Pasteur's Fantastic 50 does a great job with all the number and numerical figures across the entire state. So if you look at the metrics, they're number 1 or number 2 when talking about St. Ed's in overall, in resume, in strength of schedule. They have 2 losses. So if I'm Whitmer, I'm saying, hey, these guys have been beat. Yes, it took Akron Hoban and Massillon, Washington, 2 stellar top-tier perennial contenders, to knock them off. But it is possible. So Whitmer, I think, is going to have to play their best game of the season across the board in all 3 phases. Whitmer is a program that relies on special teams to make big plays year after year after year, depending on who is coaching. It doesn't matter. It's always a key ingredient to success for them. So I think offense, defense, special teams will have to come play well. They have 2 losses to Clay and to Detroit Martin Luther King, but Whitmer is capable of keeping this close. And I think when you are the underdog, which Whitmer is, it's a matter of extending the game to create opportunities where you can force them or just have St. Ed's make their own mistakes. And then you got to take advantage of them and capitalize. But I'm going to throw some names on the Whitmer side that are going to have their A game. Carter Bourne, Joey Morales, Jamon Holmes, Kyler Koopmans, Jameer Wells, LJ Glover, Anthony LaRoe, Brandon Waddell, Kevion Lee, Zach Aubrey, just to name a few that are going to have to come ready to play. Because as you said, a hostile environment, on the road, a true road game, not neutral sites yet. That's coming next week.
Yep. Brandon Waddell, great role last week, right? They were really stuffing that inside run. He was really good getting sideline to sideline. Whitmer lost to St. Ed last year in the playoffs, lost to him in the state semifinal back in 2010. You want a list of the guys on that team that were all state for that Whitmer team? You have Mark Myers, Kenny Hayes, Chris Reaper, Chris Wormley, Jamar Ridley, Jody Webb were all state players.
That takes me back.
You need some players play at all state levels to take down St. Edward this week. That'll be at 7 p.m. Friday on the BCSN Plus app. And now it is time for Game of the Week, brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. Hit us. Let's go. Takes you back, dude. I was in the sidelines for that game. Here we go.
I was in the radio booth.
Number 6, Central Catholic. Number 2, Wapak. A great test for the Irish. They go on the road again, a little bit different. They're used to these home playoff games. Now they are the road warriors going on the road.
It's an interesting Wapak
bracket, by the way.
They've come through the Western Buckeye League, the WBL, which is a terrific mid-sized school conference. 2 other teams from that league, St. Mary's and Lima Shawnee, made the top 8 in Region 10, and Bath was the 4 seed in Region 14. They got to a regional final last year, 2nd consecutive unbeaten regular season, rather. A 4-year starter at quarterback, which you don't hear about very often, in Caleb Moyer, whose father, Travis, is their head coach. I'm kind of a stat guy. This is one of the most insane statistics I've ever heard. Do you want to guess Caleb Moyer's completion percentage this year?
79.
85%.
Wow. Close without
and
going
Woody
over.
was
Justin
close
wins.
without going over. Yeah, Justin was. So what does that tell me? Well, for one, they're very well coached. Not only is Caleb really accurate and precise with his throws, but they're well coached. And Greg Dempsey has said as much this week, because they are schemed in a way that makes everybody comfortable to make plays. Caden Page, wide receiver going to Ohio University, he is really, really good. Page v. Vic Singleton is going to be one of those get you popcorn
Mason's
ready.
reading my notes again.
Well, he's going to be one of the better wide receivers individually that I think Central will have faced outside of practice against Preston Frizzell. Yeah. And of course, don't fail me now, the Lexington big tight end.
Braden Vogel last
yes,
week.
He would be up there too. But Caden Page is really good. He's long and lean, and he's got a great vertical. This is a really good Wapak football team. Don't count them out.
It's still 3+ weeks away, but let's just be clear here. Central Catholic is attempting to make the state championship game 4 years in a row.
Yeah, man.
Just think about that. For 4 straight years, they have that opportunity if they can get there this year. Not easy to do. The amount of cycling through different senior classes, junior classes. I get that they have built a program in every sense of the word under Coach Greg Dempsey, but still, with the competition in Division II or Division III, depending on what year that Coach Dempsey has won it, still, that's tremendous respect and something that should be acknowledged. All right, so 2 straight weeks for true road games for Central Catholic, something that they are unaccustomed to during this 4-year stretch. Neutral site, as we stated in the regional finals, that potentially based on if seeds hold, well, not really a seeds hold because Central Catholic is a 6 seed, but if Central does advance, looking like a neutral site game in the Sandusky, Bellevue area. But the 4 losses that they have are all to 4 teams still alive in the playoffs up in Michigan. And FYI, Bishop Watterson, the team that Central lost to in the state championship game last year, still alive as well. That could be a state semifinal or a state championship game, so that rematch is still a possibility. But I like to look at the stats and the metrics with strength of schedule. Central Catholic number 1 in the state in D3 strength of schedule. Wapak is number 21. So not a wide gap, but still something worth of note. In D3, Central Catholic has won 5 games over teams with a winning record. Wapak has won 4 games over teams now with a winning record. So there's some even comparison here. But as far as Central Catholic, been there, done that, I'm going to lean towards them even on the road. But this is a good game.
They have won, not against Wapakoneta because it's the first meeting ever between them, but they've won at that stadium before. They beat Kingsmill Kings a few years ago in a state semifinal in just an absolutely bonkers football game that I remember calling on Thanksgiving weekend. Kings had a field goal with no time left that would have forced overtime that came up short. That was like 51-48 or something like that. It's one of the most crazy games I've ever called. So they've been there. They won't have the disadvantage. Like last week, they went to Lexington, who has a grass field. Something they hadn't dealt with
since
all
2017. They hadn't played on grass.
Louise. So they're on a really nice turf. It feels very, very even to me. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Central hitting their stride as of late. They've outscored their opponents their last 4 wins, 159-31. The offense has found consistency. Jeremiah Fuller continues to get it done. Ali Beydoun, like we mentioned last week, continues to grow. Check this one out, 7 p.m. on BCSN on Friday. We'll be right back to put a bow on the show after 30 seconds from Buffalo Wild Wings. Hit us. Let's go.
I've saved so much money enjoying Buffalo Wild Wings BOGO half-off traditional wing Tuesdays. I can finally afford everything I've ever wanted in life. Wings. All I ever wanted was more wings. So yeah, buy one, get one half-off traditional wings is the perfect deal for me and my lifetime yearnings. I value it more than literally anything. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
All these players getting all these gold medals. Well, my games list turns to gold thanks to 𝗦𝗽liche. High school football on Friday. Central Catholic at Wapak. Whitmer at St. Ed's. Perkins, the team that took out Napoleon last week, will go on the road at Galleon. That'll be on BCSN area. And, of course, Game Day Nation Overtime will still be there Friday night at 10:30 to give you a wrap-up on the whole night's action. And then we got some Saturday fun going on. The 2025 Blade Holiday Parade right here on BCSN at 10 a.m. And the Fish are swimming early in the season. A lot of games for them. They take on Fort Wayne at 7 p.m. on BCSN.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Game Day Nation Overtime, we'll have Godfrey Lewis and Yao Bonsu at the anchor desk breaking down at Central Catholic, Whitmer, and Perkins games. We got a bunch of other outside the BCSN.
Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, we got Liberty Benton and Liberty
yeah.
Center. I will be there, one of my favorite places in all of Northwest Ohio. It's going to be a packed house. That is definitely a place where the last one out turns out the lights. The town will be there.
100%.
Liberty Benton hungry for a little bite of the Tigers. We'll see if the Tigers can bite back, but we'll have plenty of coverage on Overtime and Dave White Chevrolet Football Friday.
That Perkins Galleon game should be really good. And for all we've talked about, Region 18, is it, in D5? Region 14 with Shelby, Perkins, Galleon all left. That is going to be an extremely fun regional championship next week, no matter who's in it.
Before we get you out here, 19 total players got all Ohio selections on the soccer side of things. We told you about Coach Lori Williams, Division II Coach of the Year. Jorge Diaz leaves his career as the Division I Girls Coach of the Year. Plenty of exciting stuff happened on the pitch all season long. Plenty will happen this Friday on the gridiron. And we'll be right back here next week to give you a little wrap-up on all that action on a new episode. See ya.